Hi, Winnie. Welcome to the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast.
Thank you so much, Julie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, really excited to have you. Looking forward to our conversation. I think you're doing something amazing in the health and wellness space, and I can't wait to chat about it. If you would, could we start with what you're currently doing with your IHP certification? And then I would love to hear about how you found IHP, what you were doing before this, and how you kind of transitioned.
Absolutely. So currently what I'm doing with my IHP is supporting parents. I especially work with mothers because mothers are typically the primary caregivers of children, but I support parents who have kids on the autism spectrum or kids who have sensory processing issues and developmental delays. I really work with them to help them rebalance their children's biology and help their kids be able to hit those developmental milestones and just thrive in general. So what I do is really support the mothers, and I do that through my practice, which is Thrive Beyond the Spectrum.
That's wonderful. Yeah. What were you doing before you found IHP and found this as your passion?
Oh my goodness. So long story. So I just retired from the United States Air Force. I was a healthcare administrator, and I retired at the rank of major. So my role there was helping doctors, making sure that the hospital is running efficiently and effectively. So it was really healthcare leadership. But so how did I find IHP? I was in this season of life where I was so busy at work and I was raising children at home. And I had symptoms that were so difficult to they were difficult to articulate because at one point I would be so fatigued and super exhausted. It was like a clear and clean burnout scenario. But every time I'd go to the doctor and tell them to just check and see what's going on, they would run the labs, and my labs were always normal, right? And I remember one point when it was during COVID, and we were busy, and I was pregnant with my third child. So I had a team of about 80 to 90 people, and we were responsible for so much, for coming up with a temporary facility where people who were suspected of having COVID would be tested. So we had to come up with that in like 2 weeks. I had meetings with so many leaders in the military, and the military is quite intense. But at that point, we were even like at the forefront of COVID, and my body was literally, I felt like it was falling apart, but there was nothing, no diagnosis. And I remember like tuning into this particular podcast, and Dr. Cabral was really talking about, the proverbial rain barrel. Mm-hmm. Made sense. And I said, maybe this is what is going on in my body, because you mentioned that sometimes your labs will not be showing that you're in disease state. However, you are getting there because your body is out of balance. Mm-hmm. So that's where my journey began. I decided to go through IHP1. And I did that, and I worked with the health coach. The health coaches there and the integrative health practitioners, and they mentored me through the process. And I did so many lab tests, and I found that I had so many imbalances, and it made sense. Mm-hmm. So literally, like when I ran my HTMA, I was low on all the electrolytes. I was the typical burnt out, and I was like, finally, something is validating how I truly feel. So that's how I came into learning about functional medicine and getting into the world of IHP, Integrative Health Practitioner Institute.
That's great. Yes. I mean, it is that's why so many people become IHPs, is because the process is so validating and so transformative from, I knew something was wrong. And if this information existed for me, I want to be able to let other people know that this information exists for them, right? Because it is such a period of time where you can feel so discouraged, you can feel so unwell, so burnt out, and yet everybody's telling you you're fine from a conventional lab standpoint, and you finally get answers. And of course, how could you not want to share that with so many people? That's great. And so, what I would love to talk about next, which is kind of how you ended up in the niche that you are, is you have children, and one of your sons was on the spectrum. And I would love for you to share a little bit about what it was like to kind of have the delays that he was experiencing, what you were able to use your IHP certification, to do about it, and then we can talk about, what you do now, of course, in your practice.
Absolutely. Yes. So right after implementing a lot of the functional medicine protocols, I started feeling better, and I thought the storm was over, right? But no, there's another storm brewing. My son had just turned 3, I believe, on his way to turning 4, so 3.5. He was 3.5. And we had just moved as military members. We moved so often. And I just come from a deployment. I had left him when he was 1. No, yeah, I left him when he was about 2.5. And so I came back and we had to move to a different state. And I was busy trying to get caught up with a lot of things. And I started noticing that he was just like things were not as they should. He was pretty intelligent in the sense that he could multiply. He was fascinated with mathematics and he would do that super, super well. However, I noticed sensory processing issues. I did not have a term for that before because I did not know what it was, but things like trying to touch everything and trying to really feel things. And then he lost his words, like he became nonverbal and he wasn't able to articulate what he wanted. Before he had a few words, but there's something that really happened to him and he really started having trouble verbalizing what he needs. So as a mother, and my husband has been a major part of this journey, we were worried and we're like, something is wrong. And we need to do something about it. And so we went to the pediatrician and we told him, hey, there's something going on. He's not speaking. And he was very kind, and he told us, maybe things will just resolve themselves. Let's continue monitoring it. But now at this point, I'm going to refer you to speech therapy. And so we're like, okay, good. At least we're doing something about it. Let's get him into speech therapy. So that was amazing. But the line, like the wait time was pretty long, 6 months. There's so many kids who need that kind of support. And as a mom, you're just feeling like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? He was about to get to kindergarten. And by the time we got him into speech therapy, the progress was painfully slow. And so I started asking myself, is there another way? And at one point when I was really at my lowest, I remembered, oh my goodness, functional medicine IHP supported me. Maybe he's going through the same thing, And that's when I decided to enroll into IHP2 and learn how to interpret labs myself, because I said I need to be a part of his healing team as his mother, right? So I enrolled, and after finishing my IHP2, which was March of 2023, I started running labs on him. And I would run labs, and I had a mentor as well who could help me with it. And it was amazing because every time I would run his lab, I would see imbalances, a lot of imbalances, and a lot of gut imbalances that we had to work through. And he was in this stress. His body was in so much stress. At one time, I remember when we took him to the hospital, his blood pressure was so high, so high because of primitive reflexes. All his primitive reflexes were active, they were not integrated. And so, apart from working on functional medicine, I also started working with primitive reflex. So I went in and learned about them and really helped him integrate them as well. So that journey was one of the most challenging things I've gone through as a human being, as a mother. I am a retired military member, so I've gone through difficult things. I've deployed, I've been in combat, but seeing my child suffering was one of the hardest things that I ever experienced. And when we are now on the other side of the tunnel, he is driving and he can tell me, Mommy, do you know how much I love you? He's able to articulate that. And I remember the other day he was telling me, Mom, I need a camera and I need uh, a ladder. And I told him, what do you need that for? He's like, I need a ladder so I can go to God and tell God how thankful I am for you. And I need a camera so I can take a picture of my beautiful mom. And I, every time I see him, I'm so grateful for this journey. I'm so grateful for his journey. And I feel that it's my life purpose and calling to support other parents who are in the same shoes, because it's so challenging and so isolating being in this journey when you can't even go to parties because you don't know how your kid is going to behave. It's really difficult. Um, I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah.
No, yeah, you did. And as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, you could have just run the labs and had an IHP at Equal Life read the labs, but you were like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become IHP2 certified. I mean, this is truly the determination and love of a mother, right? Like it was your mission to, and like you said, I mean, nothing is more stressful, nothing is more intense than seeing your child suffer. And you already had the beauty of knowing that something else existed because you found it for yourself. And you were able to kind of say, okay, this is, maybe there's something foundational, something more functional happening here for him too. And just amazing that you did what you did and took matters into your own hands and did right by him and figured it out. And it's amazing. Yeah. And what I love that you talk about, and I think this is so important, being a mom myself, obviously, I probably wouldn't be crying like a fool if I wasn't, is that you're able to relate to these other mothers who have kids going through this. And that is probably a powerful resource and just a powerful connection for these women to be able to have some sort of, less isolation, feeling connected to somebody who understands what they're going through. And just that alone probably allows their nervous system to feel more supported, more relaxed, more seen as you try to help them help their children.
Yeah.
You find that?
I do. I find that a lot. And I'm so grateful to be able to provide that space and to be able to relate with what they're going through. Because every time they tell me what they're experiencing, I can remember experiencing it. And so I tell them that once we allow your child's body to become balanced, we always find things. Once you balance the body and the biology, the body knows how to heal itself. You cannot promise identical or similar outcomes, but we know that once you balance the gut, once you help the primitive reflexes integrate, once you ensure that the kids have all the nutrition they need, once you really work on that and help the body rebalance and clean out like products in your house and really live as the cleanest life that you can live, then the children always respond. Their bodies change, right? So a big part, one of the major pillars of my work is really empowering the mother or the parent as a healer, as part of this healing team, as you said. Because one thing that I tell them, that your children mirror your nervous system. And to be honest, sometimes when you tell a mother who has a child on the spectrum who's having severe autism symptoms, when you tell them to calm down, they'll be like, how do I do that? I can't. Because there's so many things that could trigger you from the beginning of the day. But I tell them that, you know what, you must, and I can help you get there. You must, because healing begins when the body is in a parasympathetic state. So, and your child mirrors your state. So if your state is in a sympathetic nature, like the fight or flight state consistently, even when you have a calm demeanor, the kids are so sensitive, they can feel it. And that also throws their nervous system off. So the mother or the parent, depending on who the primary caregiver is a crucial part of the program.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that is so profound because it's true. We tend to kind of say mothers, but the truth is biologically speaking, kids are hardwired to get more of their calming, healing, restorative type of energy. And that's the mother's place, right? Dad roughhouses and plays, and like biologically speaking, those were kind of like the roles that mom and dad were supposed to play in a child's life. And if mom is wildly dysregulated and not supporting herself, and she's dealing with the stressful situation of a child on the spectrum, and maybe there's other kids, and what did they need? Now she's completely burnt out and she's not able to show up as the best version of herself, one for herself, but also then for the kids, right? And so now there's more dysregulation, there's maybe more chaos. And I would argue that even a child on the spectrum is more sensitive to that. And so now it's even more heightened, and they can sense that mom's not regulated or mom is depleted. And that then further compounds the child's behaviors and their outcomes. And so I love that you emphasize caring for the mom too, because it's such an important piece of the whole picture, right? You're looking at the whole picture holistically, functional, from the labs, from the family system. It's such a complete way to look at things. I think it's so wonderful what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Like mothers, as you said, like fathers are an important part of a child's life, but mothers are responsible. As you say, they carry the children for 9 months. The kids are attuned to their mothers. And so I remember I had to change. I was that go-getter and constantly on the go in sympathetic mode. I was trained to be that way. And it worked. I got accolades and I celebrated military member. But when my child like saved me too, because I had to really work on my own nervous system and ensure that I am more the parasympathetic. So when I healed myself, then allow him to heal as well, because I was able to see the big picture. And even when we were having like bad days, I could capitalize on the good days. And I tell parents this all the time. You must have a notebook or your notes app. And anytime you see progress, because this is a journey with these children, it's a journey. It can take a year as you clean up a lot of different things. It can take a year and a half, depending on the child. But every day is important. And if you take the time to look at the positive outcomes, no matter how small they are, if you track those, they keep you going. So every time I have a session with a parent, I ask them first, tell me what went well this week. What did you notice, however small it was? And we celebrate that. Mm-hmm. We celebrate that. And then we tackle some of the challenges they're having, and change the plans as needed. But it's very important also, when you regulate your nervous system, then you can have that steadfast mindset to keep going, because it's a long journey. It's not a short one. Just to be honest, it takes time.
Yes. And it kind of hardwires them to be in more of that gratitude mindset and a positive mindset, right? By asking them to do that, they're able to kind of look at it from a positive lens, which helps them through the times that are challenging. Because let's face it, like raising kids in the best of circumstances is challenging. And when there's health challenges, you kind of have to find some way to ground yourself in gratitude and have some sort of a positive outlook so that that's the direction that you're headed.
Yes, absolutely. And when you think about it, I'll also tell them, your child will not get better. Your child will get better to the extent you envision, right? So if you envision them really thriving, it might take time, but you will get there, right? So let's have a clear intention of healing. So the success mindset, we must have that. And then couple that with positive emotion, and then do the action day by day. I'm telling you, it's inevitable. Your child will get better.
Yes. Yeah. What are some of the ways that you obviously use lab testing for children? Do you also do that for moms when you're trying to support them through, making them more resilient and working on stress?
Yes, absolutely. I do that for mothers as well. We determine that just based on how things are going. If they're really struggling with getting to that parasympathetic state, even with meditation and mindfulness and all these other things, I tell them, it's time maybe to look at biology. What is it that's going on in your body? So I get that, most parents, I'm telling you, they're on that four lows pattern, most mothers. And then they have nutritional deficiencies as well. And we have to go through the same whole things, the detoxification as well. And they go through this journey together with their child most of the time. Most of the time. Yes.
Yeah. Which is something that I think, nobody talked about it before I had kids, or at least I think the hardest part about being, at least for me, a mom is like, I feel like I'm raising myself and my kids at the same time. At the same time, I'm like, yes, I'm trying to make myself the best version of me because that's what's best for you. And I'm also trying to encourage you to be, and it sometimes can feel all consuming. But when you're taking care of a child with extra needs, right? With it's, a child that's on the spectrum and it's stressful, you're depleting yourself of B vitamins and magnesium. And now you don't have those necessary things to buffer stress. And so sometimes for, parents, it's just a matter of correcting deficiencies and making sure that they're not so depleted because they're giving, 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 giving. Moms of multiple kids, births, and if they nurse, they're just constantly depleting if they're not, pouring back in. Standard American diets just don't give us what we need for nutrients anymore. And it's such an important part of the process, like you said, because the mom is responsible for kind of holding the space for all the emotions.
Absolutely. Like you're absolutely right. The soil, the current soil, I mean, it doesn't even have the minerals that we had in the past. So there's always mineral depletion, and most parents don't have, as you said, zinc is a big one. We see depleted, and you see magnesium low, you see vitamin B's, they don't have what it takes to buffer, yet they're constantly faced with stress. So I just felt called to work with this demographic, and it's been really fulfilling. I remember one parent, her son lost awareness of himself, like he was not there. Sometimes kids on the spectrum go through this period, which is extremely challenging to parent, where you're trying to connect with your child, but they're in their own world and you can't reach them. And that happened to me as well. And it's one of the most painful things. And when we started working together, her son was in the same spot. And when we ran the labs and started working through the basic stuff, the functional medicine stuff, gently detoxifying, upping up the nutrition, giving them the supplements that they need, and working on primitive reflexes. She was so happy when at one time she called out her son and he responded, looked at her, and he started having words more than just, her son would just hold her hand and point to things. But at one point, the son was able to tell mommy, I want milk. Mommy, I need that, And showering was a challenge for her because his scalp was very sensitive and he didn't want even water to even get. And most kids on the spectrum, brushing their hair, showering them is so challenging sometimes because of the sensory overload. Everything is multiplied by 10, and most of the time they also cover their ears because noise can be so loud. Even something that's a normal volume can be so loud for them. And her son was able to get showers now, get haircuts, and is doing well. So it's deeply fulfilling that you're able to transform not only a child's life, but the family as well. And so I'm deeply grateful for Dr. Cabral, the IHP team, yourself, for what you do, because it supports not only us as mothers, but it helps the whole family.
Yes. Yeah. And for generations to come too, right? Because there's siblings involved and grandparents. There's so much. And this is truly Dr. Cabral's vision for that ripple effect, where you have no idea what you've inspired some of these other mothers to share with their friends. And I'm sure you get referrals, right? Where it's it is such a gift to be able to take a bond that is supposed to feel wonderful between a child and a mom and help strengthen that, right? Like you said, if a mom's looking at her child and, there's nothing there from a feedback standpoint, and, even holding a child's hand is too much of a sensory, what a beautiful gift to give a mom some of that back, right? Because like that is, if you're a mom and you're listening, right? Like it's everything. And so, yes, there's lots of niches out there. But I think that this one is incredibly special because not only are you able to help mom and help the child, but like you said, you're supporting an entire family and supporting them for generations to come, because who knows what kind of stress ongoing some of these diagnoses can be with very little support. It can cause a lot of trauma in family systems where there's high stress and high chaos and tension and overwhelm. And so it really is something that keeps on giving, truly.
Absolutely. It's quite an honor for me. Once we went through this journey, I knew that my time in the Air Force was coming to an end, because this is now the new mission for me.
Yes. And I also love the contrast of the fact that you were in a very well-revered, amazing, then thank you for your service in the military. And it sounds like you were incredibly impactful there, yet like you came home, right? Like that was where you were needed the most.
I had to come home, and I'm so glad that I am home. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. And we're so glad that your son's thriving and doing well. And again, like our story becomes our hope for someone else. Our struggles, our path, what we go through becomes someone else's roadmap. It becomes someone else's hope that things can be different. And, you could have been super grateful for the help that you got with your son, and that would have been fine too, right? And continued with your career. But instead you chose to help all of those who need you and can find you. Yeah. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Integrative Health Coach Success podcast. If those that are listening wanted to connect with you further, where are all of the places that you show up, whether it's social media or websites, any places that you have for your business?
Oh, thanks. I show up mostly on Instagram, right? And it's under Thrive Beyond the Spectrum. So Thrive Beyond the Spectrum on Instagram. The same is on my website, thrivebeyondthespectrum.com. And that's how you can reach me.
Great. Thank you so much again for being a guest on the Integrative Health Coach Success podcast. I think this was such a wonderful conversation. And again, thank you for doing what you do now. And thank you for your previous service to our country.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Of course. Take care, Winnie.
Thank you. You too.